Hi guys, welcome to Sunderland RTG, episode 55. So obviously this is just the roundup. So we're just going to have a quick look through. We'll start through obviously the Premier League scorers. So I think we touched on this last time. In fact, I think we did, so we'll skip through that. So obviously we'll start with the competitions that we were involved with. Obviously starting with the Premier League. I think, like we said, 8th place. I think it's pretty good first season. Obviously just finished 1 point behind Chelsea as well, so not too bad, I'd say, overall. But obviously we were, when you look at how far we are behind getting into Europe, obviously it is going to take a big leap up in ability, really, you would say, to catch those top 5. So I'm not sure if it'd take just one more season to be up there with City and Liverpool. Maybe you'd have another season where you'd be competing with Spurs, possibly for that 5th, and then it'd be a season after where you'd be actually looking to be really pushing on, and with the youngsters actually being good enough to compete at the top. So have a quick look. So FA Cup was won by Liverpool, beating Man City. So City obviously pipped them to the title, but Liverpool do win the FA Cup. We obviously got knocked out very early on in the 3rd round, which was disappointing. Carabao Cup, Liverpool beat Spurs. So again, we didn't particularly go for the competitions, you would say. So bit of a shame, but obviously Liverpool doing very well there. So Super Cup was Barcelona. They beat Spurs in the final 2-1. Well done to them. Champions League, Atletico Madrid actually beat Man City in the final. So that's another final that Man City actually didn't win. Europa League was won by Valencia. They beat Gladbach of Germany. So bit of a strange one there for them being up there. But yeah, so that's obviously the tournaments that we were around. So if we have a quick look at obviously the big leagues around, so we'll start with the Championship. So we would be coming up would be Crystal Palace and Bournemouth, who dominated, really, as you can see, goal scoring and in the overall points. And you've got West Brom, Fulham, Leeds and Stoke, who are going to be going for the playoffs. Going down, QPR, Rotherham, Peterborough. So League One, Barnsley, Blackburn and Ipswich. So again, Barnsley and Blackburn, just one defeat for each of them. Ridiculous amount of points and goals there. And then obviously the playoffs. Going down, Burton, Plymouth and Wycombe, who were quite down there. So League Two, Scunthorpe and Southend both broke the 100-point barrier. Colchester, Salford City in the 90s, Bolton and Swindon in 6. Going down would have been Cambridge United and Morecambe. So League 1 was won by Paris Saint-Germain. Just 2 draws, 101, 102 goals, 110 points there. Olympique Lyonnais going 96 points there, with Monaco and Marseille in 4th. Bundesliga was won by Bayern Munich, who won all 34 games. So yeah, so apparently it is going to be sorted. The realism is going to be sorted in FIFA 21. So I'm hoping that does come through. As you see, so Dortmund 10 points behind, and then Leipzig miles behind after that in the 70s with Leverkusen. If we go to Serie A, that was Juventus, who again didn't lose, 100 goals, 106 points. And they beat Inter He was 1 point ahead of Napoli and then Roma. So AC Milan down in 5th. Eredivisie, PSV actually pipped Ajax, so that's a bit of a turn up for the books there. PSV Eindhoven there, ahead of Ajax and then Feyenoord and AZ coming in 4th. Scottish Premier, Celtic dominating, 12 points ahead of Rangers. And then La Liga goes to Barcelona. And again, 118 goals scored, only 18 goals against. Didn't lose all season. And Real Madrid finished with 103 points as well. Atletico obviously won the Champions League, managing 3rd place as well. So a good season there for Atletico Madrid. And that's it. So now we'll move on to obviously our squad. So obviously next season I think I will do this offline, and obviously I'm not sure where we can really improve looking at that first team. So do we go, obviously Madger had a decent season, so do you try and get another striker that's like mid-80s? I'm not really sure. Obviously we're probably going to have a decent transfer budget, so I'm happy with Drew Yearwood and Ferguson. I think once we've found their feet in that centre midfield, I think that's pretty much a good lineup really the whole way through. So I'm not. It's probably a bit more looking for backups. Where we would look, maybe a new centre back. Yeah, so probably on the backup side we could pick up a few players, but I'm quite happy with the team. So as we say, Jordan Pickford had a pretty good season. We'll go through the stats first. Obviously Pickford played all the games, 38 games for him. Drew Yearwood getting 37 with Crespo Rincon as well. So in the end, Archie Jackson finishing 20 goals in the Premier League in 36 games, a 7.6 average, 11 assists as well. So obviously coming out with 31 goal scoring contributions in 36 games. That's pretty good. Yeah, so next on there is Josh Madger. He managed 14 goals and 9 assists. So obviously not as good as we were possibly hoping for. I was looking more for 20 goals from him, but obviously you get 20 goals from Jackson, so I think that kind of balances itself out. Danny Loader obviously had a great pre-season. Didn't really transfer it into the league though, as you can see. 25 games, 4 goals, only 2 assists as well. So obviously a lot of those wouldn't have been starts, but not the production I would have expected from him. With Thomas Janssen, he got 4 in 5 games. Obviously that hat trick making a big part of that, but he's looking pretty good. Thomas Janssen is up to 77 overall as well. Tris Peters obviously took back his job in the end. He did actually only pick up 1 assist and 3 goals, so that's, when you look at it like that, it wasn't the best, but he actually did play a pretty good season. Lewis Ferguson, 5 goals, 5 assists for him. He was good. George Honeyman picked up 4, but obviously 2 of those was in pre-season. De La Vega, only 3 goals, but 7 assists for him. So 10 goal contributions in 35 games, not too bad. Brahim wasn't fantastic, to be fair. So 20 games he ended up playing, 3 goals, 2 assists. I prefer playing with Tris Peters, I must say. So Brahim to Tris Peters, because Peters will start the season. So Max Power, obviously 29 years old now, did lose his job. So, but I still think he's obviously He'd be good enough to be a backup to Lewis Ferguson, could come in every now and again. 74 overall, still not too bad. Drew Yearwood, breakout year for Drew Yearwood. I think last season we were really umming and ahhing whether he was going to be good enough. But once he did get his defensive duties down, started to chip in with a few goals and assists as well. So definitely his overall bumped up quickly as well. So he's definitely come on well. Rico Henry, 1 goal, 4 assists. Fantastic at the back. I think heading wise, he is one of our best, even though he's obviously not the tallest. If we have a look at his attributes, he is only 5'7", so not short, but definitely not as tall as you'd think with the amount of fantastic headers he gets away. Fernandez actually picked up a goal. He actually played well in the end, coming up to the end of the season. So I think he will definitely stay now, and we won't look to bring in a new centre back. Wagnerman, solid at the back, good going forward as well. So he's been fantastic. Luke O'Nien, I think he's a decent. So this is again, I guess. So it's 73 overall. So obviously it's a big drop. So would you actually start to? I think when we do have a lot of money, you could potentially in the reserves. So when you've got Gooch, Power, O'Nien, could you move these players on and possibly bring in better players, and to obviously get that reserve team up? Because obviously, but saying that, obviously we aren't in Europe, so we're not going to have a massive amount of games. So that's why you'd look at these players and think they haven't played that much this season because there's not that many games to share out. Simonson, again, just waiting for him to leave really. I don't know whether to just put him on the transfer list. He's 83. He's up to 83 overall now, so he's going to be worth a lot of money. Have a quick look at how much he is worth. 32 million. Again, I'm reluctant to actually sell him on to transfer list him, because then we'd probably only get the 32 million. Where if somebody comes in, they're going to have to obviously push it up, and we could potentially get something like 50, 60 million. So obviously his release clause at the minute is 71 million. But I think that's a see how we go with Simonson, to be fair. So yeah, if we have a quick look at the attributes now, we'll go through as the positions are really. So goalkeeping wise, Pickford, so no change for him, but so he's 29, so no drop in any of his stats, and he's been really good. So 83, I think he's fantastic starter, and he'd continue to be the starter next season. Oscar Brown, he's gone up 7 this year, so he's up to 74. So he's at that point now where you could start throwing him in the cup games. I think he'd be good enough to play in the cup. Peter Farrell, so he's up to 75. So like I say, he'd be competing possibly with the backups now to actually get starts in that the reserve team. He's obviously got a high defensive work rate, and a lot of his stats are looking better now in the green. So Rico Henry's just gone up the 1, so he's up to 79 overall, but as you can see, his speed, agility is right up there, so there's not a lot of movement they can actually go up in now. Obviously strength wise, composure maybe, vision, but obviously these are not really things for a fullback, but everything else is pretty much maxed out now. As you can see, his header accuracy is only 46, but he is actually a really good header of the ball. He's saved us a few times at the back post. And we've also got a lot of youngsters out on loan. Jordan Willis as well is out on loan still, so he's gone up to 73 now. So probably you'd look to sell him really now, along with Bailey Wright possibly, because Sabata's up to 73 now himself, and he's obviously only 22, so more growth from Sabata to come. So Bailey Wright, actually not dropped at all, so he's at 30 years old now, but still 72 overall, so he would be going on the transfer list. Crespo Rincon, been fantastic, gone up 5 this year, and as you can see his jumping's immense, and his speed as well, sprint speed, stamina's good, just everything, slide tackling, stand tackling's gone up right up into the 80s now, so 20 years old, he's been a fantastic buy, and definitely a starter at that right side centre back, up to 81 rated. So Fernandez obviously had a tricky start to the season really, and a long way into the season really. At one point in January, I think if we had the money, we possibly would have looked to replace him, but I'm glad we didn't, because he has come on a lot. Obviously you can see stamina and strength is a big plus there, so his sprint speed's going up. Obviously his acceleration's quite poor, but obviously with Crespo Rincon at his side, he's the one that can really fly about a bit, so he'd definitely continue on as our starter on that left side centre back. Wagnerman gone up 4 again, so he's up to 81. Lot of growth from him, and I would expect a lot more to come. Lance Moore, he's gone up 7 this year, so he's up to 70 now. Next year you'd possibly look to loan him out for the season. Obviously he's a good versatile player, can play anywhere at the back, but you'd possibly want him to get a lot of game time next year, where I don't think he'd get that with us. So Luke O'Nien again, you'd possibly keep him around anyway as a stopgap rather than selling him on. No real value to sell him on, so he'd probably stay anyway. Same with Max Power. I think you'd probably keep all these guys obviously around, obviously the Sunderland original guys, just to see how they can, just until they retire really. Taylor Mason, he's gone up 5, he's up to 62, so you'd look to loan him out. And obviously you've got more people on loan. Mitchell would probably be sold on. And Mutton's up to 70, out on loan. Again, you could keep him, but he wouldn't really play much now. Lewis Ferguson's been fantastic, gone up 3 this year, up to 79 now. And as you can see from that, everything in at least in the low greens really, if not the high greens. So he's been a really good player, come in and just took over that attacking centre midfield role. And same with Drew Yearwood. Obviously they've both got good defensive and attacking work rates. And you've still got some more growth in there for Drew, you'd say. So they'd both be fantastic for next season, both 23, so still a long way to go before their prime. So Barley Mumba, unfortunately, he's not done anything really. So as you can see, not had no growth, so he's been out on loan and obviously couldn't have got any game time, so he'd definitely be getting sold. 21 years old now, he's not going to reach any kind of potential, so bit of a strange one really. You think Barley Mumba's usually got high potential. I think you need to obviously get him a lot of games to max out his potential. George Honeyman's had no or little growth there, but not much game time from him. All's gone up 4. Yeah, so loan him out to get him some game time somewhere. 66 rated is not too bad. Archie Jackson's up to 86 now, so he's just been fantastic. Second half of the season just dragged the team forward really. So stamina wise it's only at 67, but I think obviously with our instructions, putting him on conservative and then not having him come back as well has really made a big difference in the fact that obviously his stamina doesn't go down as much, so we don't need to worry about stuff like that. So as you can see, his free kick accuracy is fantastic, his finishing's gone up a lot, so everything's fantastic in the technical. But yeah, he's been amazing. Roberts has been out on loan, gone up 2. So Jordan Wright, he's going to be going out on loan to Rotherham. He's gone up 6 already. So he's looking a really good player. 5-star skill move, 4-star weak foot. So he could be some player in a year or two. Like I say, already 70 overall. If he has a good season at Rotherham, comes back, could be potentially pushing for a like a bench kind of spot there. Barbosa Ferreira has gone up 2, but not quite had the growth that I would have liked from him. So Lennon Gooch still going up, 27 years old again. He'd be another one where you just keep him around the club. Elliot Griffiths has gone up 6 out on loan. So he's looking like he could be a decent player. So again, lots of growth from him. Simonson, gone up 4, but again, just horrible to use. Hopefully he does have somebody comes in for him at some point in the summer. Brahim went up 2. Wasn't as good as I would have hoped, but I think he really pushed Tris Peters on to be good. So again, his stamina is down at 59 and not actually gone up. So I think he'd be an impact sub. Not really good enough to start, but he'd be decent to come on late on in a game. Got good finishing, good dribbling. Crossing needs some working, but yeah, so he'd be a good player to be on the subs bench. So Peters went up 5 this year, so a lot of growth from him. His sprints, so he's very quick and his agility is fantastic, and that's probably the difference between. Well, it's actually nice too, Graham, but yeah. So Tris Peters technically is really good as well. Crossing's good. So obviously, apart from just that 1-star weak foot, he is a really good player to have. And De La Vega's been good, gone up 2 this year. As you can see, a lot of very high ratings in that physical bits. Still got some technicals that he can obviously improve, but overall he's had a good season. He'd definitely be starter still on that left wing. Thomas Janssen's gone up 6 this year. Got into a few games, obviously had that highlight hat trick late on in the season as well. So this kid's still got a lot of growth to go. He's got good speed. Strength is already at 99, and I think you can tell that in his game. He just holds off players. He's a really good centre forward up there. You could play him on his own, or you could possibly play him in that cam role as well. Obviously, he can do centre forward, so you could potentially play as a cam, get him some games later next season. So obviously, a lot of improvement still to do in those technicals as well. Sanchez, we're trying to get him out on loan, but keeps rejecting stuff. He's gone up 3 this year. Again, not sure how good he's going to turn out to be. Danny Loader's gone up 4. Again, didn't get much game time. Stamina's gone up a little bit, but again, he's a good player to come off the bench and occasionally get some starts. Is lethal when he is in front of goal. And then finally Madja, it's gone up 2, had a decent season. I think that's about it really. Like when you look at that, he's not actually, so his agility's not great, his jumping, stamina's not great, so potentially we could go out and get, as you can see, is not as good as a lot of the players we do have, so potentially we could go out and sign a new striker. Obviously, we were looking at Simeone earlier on, so potentially go out and pick up Simeone, or go even higher and try and pick up a real big, powerful centre forward now. Obviously, we're in the Premier League, so we can afford to go and get somebody really good. So financially, obviously at the minute, Brahim is still our big wage earner. He came in at 75,000. Obviously, we've got RTG Jackson at just under 60. But yeah, obviously, I did put out a lot of contracts. So there's not a lot that are actually. I do actually need to give Oscar Brown a new contract. He's currently only on 450. So we'll give him a new contract now. Obviously, he's a decent backup keeper, so we'll offer 3.5 there for 5 years. We're happy with that. Mitchell, I think we're looking to sell Mitchell, so I'm not going to be worrying about him. Sean Brown, once he comes back, he'll probably be either loaned out or I'm not sure at the minute. But yeah, so I think that's where we'll leave it. So, like I say, I probably will go on for another season, and I'll do a separate video, and then eventually, obviously, we'll get stuck into their FIFA 21 Man United series. But I will just throw a video out there at some point when I do get around to obviously finishing off this season. And then obviously you can find out obviously who we did go out and buy, and see how good our youngsters progressed. But yeah, that's going to be it for the Sunderland Road to Glory. Thank you for watching it, and all your comments, and yeah, come back for the United saving FIFA 21. But yeah, I'll see you there. Bye.